Okay, so AI music tools like Suno and Udio are completely changing the game. I mean, suddenly anyone can make incredible, professional-sounding music. The creative floodgates have just been blown wide open. But with all this new music flooding the world, it brings up one massive question.
This one, right here. You've just made a track you're really proud of. Maybe you've even cranked out a whole album. You're riding that creative high. So what's the very next step to turn that spark into something real, something sustainable? Let's break down the playbook.
First things first, we need to have a little reality check. You know, the default path for most new artists is, I'll just upload it to Spotify and wait for the streams to roll in. But there's a huge myth we've got to bust right now.
I know, it sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? A million of anything feels like it should be a really big deal. But when we're talking about streaming royalties, that number can be dangerously misleading. Let's look at the actual data. Just look at this. The difference here is staggering. This data comes from a musician named Joe Gilder. So since 2017, he's earned about $2,500 from streaming. Respectable. But from all his other music-related income, $1.5 million. That's not a gap, my friends. That is a canyon.
And Joe's story isn't some weird outlier. Producer Beautiful Beats did a full breakdown of his 21 million streams. And you know what he found? After Spotify takes its cut, and after you split the rest with your collaborators, 1 million streams will net you about $2,200. That is simply not a livable wage.
So here's the crucial mental shift. You have to reframe what streaming platforms are actually for. They are not your bank account. The best way to think of them is like the world's biggest, most personalized radio station. Their job is to help new listeners discover you, not to pay your rent. Your job is to take that discovery and lead those listeners somewhere else.
Which brings us to the most important pivot you need to make, and it has nothing to do with your sound or your gear. It is all in your head. It's about evolving from just being an artist to becoming a CEO.
You really have two paths you can take. On one side, you have the artist mindset. This is where you just focus on creating and kind of hope you get discovered. But on the other side, you've got the CEO mindset. This is where you actively build a business around your music, using the same strategies the big record labels have used for decades to generate real, actual revenue.
I love this analogy because it's just so perfect. The music you make, that is the essential spark. It's the magic. But without a powerful business engine to drive it all forward, that spark just fizzles out. The engine is what gives your art power and range and longevity.
Okay, so you've got the CEO mindset. Awesome. Now what's the actual roadmap? Let's get really practical and look at the platforms and strategies that are actually working right now today.
For pure, raw discovery, you need to focus your energy on these 3 platforms. TikTok is still the king for getting your sound to trend. Instagram Reels are absolutely perfect for showing your process with little clips and carousels. And right now, YouTube is heavily prioritizing shorts in its algorithm, which gives you a massive potential for reach.
Now, that does not mean you need to create 3 times the content. Smart artists are using what's called a flywheel model. You start with one solid piece of long-form content for YouTube, maybe a behind-the-scenes video or a live performance. Then you just chop up the best moments for YouTube Shorts, and you distribute those exact same clips over to TikTok and Reels. It's all about working smart, not just hard.
But here is the thing. Content is pretty much useless without connection. And this is where personal brand storytelling comes in. It's about figuring out who you are beyond just the music. You know, what do you stand for? What's your unique story? This is the stuff that turns a casual listener into a true, dedicated fan.
All right, once you have an audience that's actually paying attention, it is time to build the engine that's going to generate real income. This is where we move from just discovery to monetization. And the number one rule of monetization is understanding this difference. Social media platforms are what we call rented space. The algorithm can change, your account can get shut down, and poof, you lose everything. Your main goal has to be moving followers from these rented platforms to owned ones, like your own email list or a Discord server, where you have a direct line of contact with your fans that no one can ever take away.
This leads directly to this really powerful idea called 1,000 true fans. See, you don't need millions of casual listeners to build a sustainable career. You just need a core group of superfans, your true fans, who will reliably buy your merch, share your music, and pretty much support everything you do.
So how do you find and nurture these people? Well, you give them a special place to belong. You can create exclusive hubs on Discord or Patreon just for your biggest supporters. Use your email list to give them early access to new tracks. You can even invite them to be part of the creative process with things like remix contests or co-creation challenges.
And this is what a modern musician's income portfolio really looks like. Notice how tiny that streaming slice is. The real sustainable money comes from diversifying your income. Things like sync licensing for TV and games, direct-to-fan merchandise, maybe creating educational content, or even offering creative services to other artists. This is that CEO mindset in action.
Oh, and just a quick, super valuable technical tip for all you creators out there. When you're mastering your tracks, aim for a loudness level between -14 and -9 LUFs. LUFs just stands for loudness units full scale. It's the standard for measuring audio levels. Hitting this target makes sure your music sounds clear and punchy on every platform without getting crushed by their automatic volume adjustments. It's a small detail that makes a massive difference.
So let's bring this all together. The real goal for a modern musician, especially one who's empowered by these new AI tools, isn't just to get on a playlist. It's about going far, far beyond the stream.
This table pretty much sums up the entire mindset shift. The old goal? Chasing streams, obsessing over vanity metrics, and waiting around for a record deal. The new goal? Building a real fan base, creating sustainable income, and actively building your very own music business.
And honestly, this is the core takeaway. The music is absolutely essential, of course, but it's not the end game. The moment you decide to embrace the identity of an entrepreneur is the moment you take control of your own destiny, and it's when your real career truly begins.
So I'm going to leave you with this final question to think about. AI has given you the amazing power to create songs effortlessly. But are you going to stop there, just trying to sell those songs one by one? Or are you going to use that incredible creative spark to build a comprehensive, sustainable, and profitable music business? The choice is yours. Thanks for tuning in.